We are continuing with Psalm 2, and we're going to take a look at verses 5 through 6. Now, these are a sort of response to verses 3 and 4, where we were introduced to the kings and rulers standing angrily against the Lord and against his anointed, and now we're going to see their response. Tate lalese pros altus in orge altu, kaento thumo altu, taraxe altus. Ego de katastathe basilus hup altu, epision horas ta hagion altu. Now, as we go, I want to keep in mind that these first two lines correspond to the response of the Lord. Second two lines correspond to the response of the Anointed One. So let's begin with the first one here. We got tate, so that's building on the prior two verses. So then, this is kind of like in a sequential way. Lalese here with the sigma, third singular ending, a little lengthening of the contract vowel. This, of course, is from laleo. It's a third singular future active indicative. So he will say, and again referring back to the Lord, pros altus, that is against these antagonists who are set against him, in orge altu. And so orge here refers to the word for wrath or anger. And then in the next line, we're going to see a synonym for that, thumos, which also basically means wrath or anger. And so some nice parallelism here. And you'll also notice, especially as we get to our verb here, that you have yet another sort of chiastic approach here, which very closely matches the underlying Hebrew. The Greek translator of the Psalms will often try to pick up on the constituent order. So you see you have a verb first here, then this prepositional in orge, then you have the preposition here followed by the verb. So there's a little crisscross pattern, and that's very common in the Psalms. So into thumo, so in his wrath or anger, taraxe altus. This is from tarasso. In this case, it is a third singular future active indicative, and that means to trouble, to cause problems for, to make scared, something along those lines. And the underlying Hebrew is to terrify. And so this is relatively straightforward translation. So he will, and notice the double sigma here becomes a kasi in the future. He will terrify them. So he's speaking to them and terrifying them in his wrath. Now, what about the Anointed One? Notice we have a pivot to ego de. So we're advancing the ball forward with this de and an explicit ego. You don't technically need it, but it shows you a transition of speaker. Up here you have the him, that is the Lord speaking. Now it's I. So we pivot actually to first person. We'll get into this down the road, but often the Psalms adopt different persona. And here you have this anointed figure speaking as the I. And so one of the ways we describe this is prosopological. You have a certain shift of speakers, and that's going to impact how we interpret it. So I, katastathe, this is from kathistemi, which is to be established or to be set up or appointed in some way. With the thane ending, a little epsilon here, this is a first singular aorist passive indicative. So I have been established, basilus, as king, hup altu, by him, that is referring back to the Lord. And where epision, so upon Zion, notice at least in many versions, many edited versions, this does not have accentuation, although some editors do add it. This is a loan word from the Hebrew, and you often see in the Septuagint that certain editors don't put diacritical marks on those. So he's upon Zion, the holy mountain of him, or his holy mountain. And so in a certain sense, this is proximately referring to King David, as we saw in the superscript to the psalm that was added by some later scribes. But even more importantly, it's pointing forward to Jesus being established as king by the Heavenly Father. I want to drill in on one final thing, this word basilus, this word king. In some of the special Saturday videos, I've started introducing Codex Vaticanus. And in Codex Vaticanus, you see this, ego, so it's corresponding here. Then you got your de. Then you have katastathane, so you see that here. But then you have hup, that's the hup, and altu. It's missing basilus for a variety of reasons that could have dropped out. And so in that particular codex, it doesn't actually say king. And so your critical editions will annotate this. So in verse 6, basilus, this is the word for omitted. It's in B. As you can see, Vaticanus is often labeled B as its signum. So not 100% clear why. There could have been some scribal reasons why they would accidentally drop that out. And we'll get into what these critical editions look like down the road. But just thought I'd point that out as an interesting textual variant here, especially in light of the fact that we've been taking a look elsewhere in some of the videos at Codex Vaticanus. So that's it today for Psalm 2, 5 through 6.